We have reached an epic milestone. We have actually gone into triple digits now. It is round 100 of VV Gaming's Losers Bracket podcast, and I am so glad you could join us tonight. Thank you so much for taking some time out on this Tuesday evening to join us. We got the normal co-hosts with us. I am joined by Lord Jareth and Kurt KeyHunt Carter. This is going to be a fun show. Guys, how are you doing this week? Kurt, heard you had a pretty big announcement this week, my friend. Talk to me. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, it was an interesting week, man. We did an announcement of our sort of newest player, some ideas that we were throwing around. We've been throwing around for a little while, but this week we sort of decided to take the step in that direction and all that good stuff. I'll let sort of Jerry introduce it a little bit, and then and go from there.
Sounds great. Well, welcome everyone to the 100th episode of the Losers Bracket. It is a milestone. I mean, I'm not one, to make a big deal out of anything, but, we've been doing this now for over 2 years. We've had some phenomenal guests tonight. We have someone really special who I got to meet 5 years ago at MLG Raleigh in 2007. It's been a 5-year journey, both of us doing similar things in eSports as far as being involved with Major League Gaming and then, in a way, kind of looking at things from very different positions, but often agreeing and both having very strong opinions. So I think that's going to be exciting. But Kurt, you, sir, you are going to help bring more talent into North America for StarCraft. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, like I said, like I was telling before, we have been thinking about this for a long time, and the reason being is there's a lot of Korean players that, and for that matter, foreign, European players that are just not getting the recognition I suppose they deserve, and also not getting, to the events that I think they need to be to. I mean, if we want the best players at events, then some people need to make some pretty big steps. Also, believe it or not, with the current climate of StarCraft II, this is just, I've said this in the press release, it's the most economical thing to do. It's so we're going to actually bring a newest player over, Slayer Sleep. His nickname is Sleep. He's from the team Slayers. Before that, he was on IM. He's been a free agent for a few months. We've been talking to him for a few weeks, and we eventually signed it the beginning of this week, or actually the end of last week. Signed him over. So he's actually going to be coming over to live in the U.S. with us. He's going to live with our creative director, Bernie Catalan, Fujikura. So he'll be living with him.
And where does Bernie live?
Bernie lives in SoCal.
So he'll be in Southern California, and is the plan all the MLG events? I know you guys created, I thought, a really awesome video for this player. So tell us a little bit about what you have planned for Sleep.
I would say the biggest thing that people will see immediately is a ton of media content coming out for him. We have a lot of plans. Hopefully all of them work out. Fingers crossed. But at the very least, he will be streaming every day. He will be playing, ladder games and clan wars and things like that on stream. But we also have basically mini docuseries basically kind of planned on him, where we plan on, sort of documenting his trip over here from Korea. We'll hopefully be partnering with some people on that, and getting some really good video content out there where we sort of document how it is for a Korean player living in the U.S., training in the U.S., and the struggles and the good things behind that. He'll also be attending, like you said, all MLGs. Hopefully, once MLG gets rid of this dumb invite system, he'll be able to qualify for one of the arena events. Hopefully that'll help him a lot, his recognition out a lot too. He'll also be attending the IPL events as well. So
awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Okay, everyone, 100th episode. It is 2012. VV's coming up on its 5-year anniversary. We are at the start of a new season. Tomorrow we will have official word from Major League Gaming as to what they're going to do on the console side of things. At least that's what Sundance said on his Twitter.
Uh-oh. That's pretty good.
What, sir?
I'm just saying, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I agree, and I think you caught me off guard.
No, a lot of people have been really excited. Like I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, I'm not sure I want to buy my ticket yet. I don't know what's going on. So now we're finally getting some confirmation. That'll be a good step.
Yeah, and I mean, at least everybody knows where they should start booking, right? Obviously, March, Columbus, that's been released. I would plan for Anaheim in June. You could at least scope hotels around the Anaheim Convention Center. And then August, I would start looking at the Raleigh Convention Center. Where MLG is in November, we don't know yet. A lot of speculation. Maybe it'll be a surprise. I know there was talk about a new city. Maybe it will be Providence again. I don't know.
They did treat them well last time.
Yeah, I thought Providence was a good stop. They were happy. We were happy. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But he did hit at a new city, so we'll see if that's where we end up in November. With that being said, we should talk a little bit about news before we get to our guests and we start, really hitting. So everybody knows tonight, if you're going to be out there on Twitter and Facebook, let me tell you what you want to tell the world. We're going to talk tough talk. We're going to talk about eSports. We're going to talk about Halo. We're going to talk about Gears of War. We're going to talk about people. Might be some gossip. Might be some shitty things said about shitty people. Mm-hmm. So this is the night where it's 100th episode, and maybe some things I'm going to say that I have not said before. Right? We're going to talk about the things that many of you don't know about behind the scenes. That's our plan. Jason, how are we doing as far as news? Kurt, what do you want to cover?
Well, I mean, let's see. What do we got that's going on in the world this week? We were already talking about the dates for MLG, Winter Championship, March 23rd to 25th, Spring, June 8th through 10th, Summer, August 24th to 26th, and Falls, November 2nd through 4th. They did announce StarCraft II prize money. I mean, this first event, the Winter Championship, $76,000 in total prize pool just for StarCraft II. I'd say that's pretty big. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the prize money is definitely better. definitely better.
Yeah.
And even more importantly, I mean, in the end, like, despite how stupid I think the invite qualification system is for the Winter Arena, I'll say that again. In the end, they are doing an amazing job in paying for the top players to attend this final event. The quote-unquote top players, the top 16 players, I think, from the Winter Arena, or maybe top 8. So that's huge. I mean, that takes a big overhead cost right off the top of these people bringing over Korean players, these people bringing over European players, and that's really, really big. So I can applaud them for that. And then on top of that, coming out with a prize pool, as big as, or almost as big as the one in Providence, right? Isn't that right? Or bigger than the one in Providence, I'm sorry, right? So that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
No, I mean, they are. The prize pool is there. I mean, that's... I have not heard anybody complain about it, and rightfully they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. No, there's no reason to. That's a lot of money. I mean, top 16 all getting paid, 13th through 16th getting $1,000 each, first place getting $25,000. That's pretty significant, to say the least.
So I think. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about this later in the show. I don't want to be the one to start a fire here or anything, but I think a lot of it, to be honest, I think they were going to do it before, but I think a lot of it has to be honest with IPL. I really think a lot of their decisions made so far, Jerry, you might not agree, but I really think the decisions made so far, quite a few of them have been based on what they've heard about IPL.
I think you're right. I think you're right on two levels, right? I mean, I think we have a flavor shift with this qualifier being invite only. There is a sort of irony there that, your qualifier is invite only, IPL not doing that. I'm still going to be cautious because open qualifiers are a lot of work, a lot of time. A lot of people say it's easy, but we will...
Because it is easy. That's because it is easy. Don't spread that.
You say that, right? Mark my words, though, when IPL is finished with their event, we're going to talk about how easy it was for IPL to run an open qualifier. And if it was a flawless, perfect breeze, right, everybody's had a few hiccups, I'm not going to nitpick, then I will withdraw, and maybe Major League Gaming next time will follow suit, right? But you seem really upset about it. I wish our players could be a part of that, but they'll have to wait until Columbus and work their way through the open bracket, and I guess that's just what we're going to have to live with.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I mean, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about this later in the show. I don't want to be the one to start a fire here or anything, but I think a lot of it, to be honest, I think a lot of it has to be honest with IPL. I really think a lot of their decisions made so far, Jerry, you might not agree, but I really think the decisions made so far, quite a few of them have been based on what they've heard about IPL.
You know what
Well,
I think?
once again to dispel any rumors here, according to Sundance and Adam, they say that the invite-only system is just for this winter arena. That's what they say. Now, they've said other things in the past, so you never know. But that's what they're saying.
I say it's about time we bring on our guest. That's what I say, because a lot of people want to see him. And Kurt, I don't know, you talk a lot, so let's get someone else that can talk on the show. What do you think?
I could rant about it all day. So yeah, we better bring him on.
You know what, though? Hey, this is pretty cool, because with the 100th episode, it's really good to still have you, Kurt. I'm glad that you're here on the show. I might pick on you, but it's all out of love, buddy. Love. All right, let's bring our guest on the show. We've got someone that Jerry was the first. This is the first person you met back in 2007 at MLG, correct? I mean, this is pretty big.
That is. This is the first person from Major League Gaming who kind of came up and said, hi, hey, what's VV Gaming, blah, blah, blah. And that's where it all began.
And who was... Oh, wait. I know who it is. It was this guy. It was Nexy. Look at him. Look at him there. That's a sexy little background you got going on there. What's going on, brother? It's good to have you on the Losers Bracket.
I've made it. I've waited so long to get on this show, dude. 100 episodes. I'm so proud of you guys. And I'm even more impressed by Jerry's avatar, his little pink costume. That's ridiculous. No, seriously, congratulations, guys, and thanks for having me. This is cool.
Well, thank you for coming on. I mean, hey, you're still at work right now. I mean, that's really cool. Got the arcade machines lined up behind you. I'd say that's pretty neat. For those that might be watching and don't know who you are, and honestly, I'm not sure how they don't, but please tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Nexy? What you do? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. I've always done my best to stay close to competitive gaming, whether it be working at a LAN center or running my own tournaments in Jersey, and then moved on to working at MLG in Manhattan for 5 years. I've done a lot of broadcast stuff, and now, as of 3 months ago, I decided I was tired of New York City and moved out to California, and I've started at Astro Gaming, which I love. So I used to be a competitor. I've been competing since Halo 1 and, traveling to tournaments. I used to play in Tetris tournaments online. I had an uncle who played Street Fighter tournaments when I was like 6 years old, so I've always been around that environment, that social gaming environment, and I just tried to make a career out of it, and I think I'm doing pretty good.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So how are you enjoying California so far? Gotta ask. I mean, West Coast lifestyle is definitely a lot different than East Coast.
It's good, man, and it was a big risk for me to even come out here. It's something I thought about for years and years and years, but I knew that I wasn't going to die in New Jersey. So I saw my opening. I wanted to hit the 5-year mark at MLG, and I wanted to just go on an adventure, and that's what I did. So I traveled across the country with my girlfriend by car. We stayed in Vancouver for a week. We stayed in right outside of Seattle for a good month, and somehow I ended up in San Francisco, and I am happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know some people on the stream are talking about it right now. Got a little bit of delay on Nexy's video, but honestly, it's all good. It's all good because look at him. He's too cute. You don't even have to worry about it. It's there. Jerry, tell us a little bit of history. I know that the way you met Nexy. I want to hear it from you, though. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, Andreas, I was at MLG Raleigh. I was walking over to Rainbow Six Vegas, and I think at that time we were also looking at Gears of War. It had not yet been official that it was going to be on the MLG Pro Circuit, or they had just announced it was going to be at the June event in Meadowlands, and we were also looking at Rainbow Six, and that was kind of our first real, and I think a lot of people don't know about that, our first real sort of scouting out this whole thing was MLG Rally, and this goes way back, right? This goes in the day of Paul and FBI and Vinny and Mob Gaming and PMS and H2O, and like all these people were sort of in the scene. And so that event was my sort of introduction to all of these interesting characters that were in the gaming scene at that time. And there was an air about Major League Gaming staff, and Andreas just didn't have that air about him. He was much more personable and much easy to relate to. And I think, no offense to those who may like Vinny or Paul from FBI, but, you know, to me, these were just not where I saw esports going. Their vision of it was much more entertainment, you know, mob versus FBI. You know, it was something different than from what I saw. And I don't know, Nexy just was very welcoming. So that's how we sort of met. That's where I bought my famous Prada sandals, was at that very event.
I'd love to back you up on that one, dude. Just I had to deal with some of these guys firsthand, being a tournament director for MLG, just managing brackets and working with some of these guys. Jerry was the one guy who can talk to his players on a personal level and, address behavioral issues, motivate a team. And he took care. It was more of a family than a team, where some of these other guys that I'm not going to mention, but Jerry named, just were in it for the money. It was so clear. So I think that's initially what drew me to Jerry, and I'm really glad that we've been talking ever since.
Yeah, and here we are 5 years later, and I mean, for a 100th episode, I think we have a great cast right here, right now, to talk about esports, to talk about games, to talk about what's important. And I think 2012 is going to be a pivotal year in a lot of ways. And I'm going to start right off the bat. Let's get right into it. Recently, Andreas, your first love, Halo, to quote Sundance on life support, the storied game of Major League Gaming. Community sort of kind of got trying different things, doing different things. A little bit of difficulty working with a change in developer that seems very natural, beyond anyone's control, and probably a bigger factor than more people realize. But Bloom's going away. We've got some light, Halo 4 on the horizon. You've seen a lot. You've seen transition from Halo to Halo. If you were to tell the world, in your opinion, what's the state of Halo today?
I believe, and I'm part of the Halo community, so I'm totally comfortable saying this. The game is impossible to watch on just an eSports level. The game is not fun to play. It's a pathetic excuse for a game. The community, however, is what's important. I think if you look at Halo 1 to Halo 3, you see the games, getting worse over time, but there was never a StarCraft in the room to compare it to. So now that we're in Halo Reach and we can look over and say, oh, wow, StarCraft's doing pretty well, that's why we're all getting worried. But I think, yeah, we're in big trouble, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think there's things we can do, and, if you want to bring that up, we can talk about that. But, yeah, we're hurting.
Well, yeah, what could you do then in that case? I mean, you just mentioned it. What could the Halo community do better? What could they do to help support this game from dying?
Yeah, well, when you see with any kind of really shitty situation, people come together and try to put their heads together to figure it out. And the Halo community is doing that a little bit, and that'll get better over time, hopefully, with some of these guys out there doing these podcasts and people like Jerry and your guys' show even bringing the topic up, which is going to be helpful in the long run. But really, the Halo 4 is around the corner. We all know Reach is terrible. But if you look at other communities like Street Fighter, for example, and I blogged about this a little bit, it's not about the game. Their games change multiple times a year. It's more about the community. I want to look at the Smash community. When Brawl came out, and I'm not really in that community either, but Brawl was not fun compared to Melee, or at least in my opinion. And I played in Melee tournaments. My little brother played in every Melee tournament in Jersey, but it just wasn't good. But the community stuck together and still supported the tournament scene and made a big deal out of placings. So I think in Halo Reach, if it's the final season of it, we have to continue doing that, leveraging these pro players and putting them on a pedestal, and hope and pray that Halo 4 is a little bit better than Halo Reach.
Well said. Well said.
Well, I don't want to belabor the point, but a lot of young players are.
What are you eating?
I was just going to say, what is that? What was that?
I was like, am I supposed to pick up there or what?
I'm going to tell you the truth here. I have 3 kinds of cheeses. I have wine.
Oh my God.
I have some artisan bread, and I'm really sitting back. We're just going to relax today. Havarti cheese, by the way, is one of my favorites. I've got some good San Francisco sourdough bread there. And on top of that, I have a good Pinot Noir from the Russian River Valley in California. So the whole spread here
That's not fair.
is in celebration.
Can't believe you.
I want to talk something about Halo, though, that I think is really important, because I think everybody who's not StarCraft kind of has to figure out where their place is, right? And Halo has sort of been at the front and center of Major League Gaming. And then, the change is abrupt. And in comes a very abrupt new entity community in StarCraft. And there's all this stuff that I call denial. Don't compare StarCraft to Major League Gaming, to Halo. Well, I'm thinking about the growth of esports, and Someone's going to walk into that room who's never been at a Major League Gaming event. They're going to look around the room, and where all the people are standing, they're going to go walk to. And that's human nature. That's what we do. If I was anywhere, I'm going to assume that where the majority of people are is more popular for a reason, and I'm going to start there. So I think what you said, Nexy, is good about all these people and personalities being part of the story. But obviously, do we have enough storytellers in Halo to make meaning out of this history, give people that context, and sell them the story to draw them into the Halo drama that unfolds when these matches happen? And right now, I think Puckett, I think, what goes on in Major League Gaming. But do we have anything outside of that, and do people know where it lives?
And how do we get them in? I look at games like StarCraft. I look at the balance between the governing of the leagues and the governing of the community. Look at fighting games, 100% governed by the community. StarCraft, I feel like there's a balance. There's a good amount of community interaction and a good amount of things put forward by the leagues. Halo, MLG owns that. There is nothing else happening coming from the community. And I feel like fighting games and StarCrafts are easier to get into because there's so many community-driven things. Halo doesn't have that. So if we have people getting out there, and I don't know what that activity is. Maybe we just go to StarCraft Reddit and steal some of their stuff. But until we have that fine balance, or even lopsided toward the community side, we're not going to bring new people in, and there's not going to be anybody standing there. So I'm agreeing with you, just looking at it from over here.
And I want to bring Kurt in on this because, Kurt,
yeah.
I want you to take us back to, I want to make a comparison because, again, this doesn't live in a bubble. This is not the first time we have seen a game come to the surface, and I'm talking about Counter-Strike 1.6. As much as I pick on it in a very serious discussion, we cannot deny that before StarCraft II, we had 1.6, and you could argue Warcraft and StarCraft and Brood War, but I want to talk about more on the 1.6 side and maybe how you got involved, Kurt. But what do you, and I know there was GotFrag, and you can talk about that as well, but I really want to get into what are the differences between then and now, and are there some things that these communities like Halo or Gears or Call of Duty could borrow or learn from so they're not just looking at StarCraft, but maybe looking at another shooter that's more in line with what they're going through. And that's why I mentioned 1.6.
To be honest, I couldn't draw too many comparisons between 1.6 and Halo. Personally, other than, I think both of them have really decent communities, but to me, they're completely separate communities too. Like Halo to me has always been a community where what's the word I'm looking for? The players have such a, to be honest, I think the players have such a personality. Whether that be something that MLG has fostered or whether it be something that somehow came from osmosis, I don't know. But what I am curious about it is Counter-Strike, see, right now is being sort of held together by people that have already been in Counter-Strike forever. It's being held by people together like WCG, people like ESWC, people like IEM. Unfortunately, it doesn't have new people getting in. And what Halo needs are these new people getting in. They need completely something new. IEM is not going to pick up Halo. WCG is not going to pick up Halo, which is probably a good thing for you guys. But ESWC is not going to pick up Halo. You guys need something new. You guys need grassroots stuff. And even Counter-Strike doesn't have that right now. Counter-Strike doesn't have anything grassroots in North America, at least. Maybe it's different in Europe. But we have the life force as IEM and ESWC and WCG. Like I said, IEM, believe it or not, people got 30,000 viewers in IEM Kiev for Counter-Strike when combined streams. In the end, those are big numbers. Those are numbers, that beat out some of MLG's numbers for COD and Halo last year. So it's still good, good, decent numbers. But with Halo, I think what you guys need is, and it's like Nexy said, grassroots stuff, man. You guys need some of the stuff that's going on for Gears of War right now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Gears of War's putting out some of it. That Hype Station was an amazing tournament, man. I mean, when you get somebody like me who has jack shit known about console and actually enjoy watching some of that stuff, then you know that you're doing something right. So you need people like that. I have a question for you, though. It was about what you were talking about. You were talking about how MLG is Halo right now. Do you think, and before I want to preface this, guys, I know this is not Sundance's fault or anyone at MLG currently's fault, But do you think that the reasoning behind MLG being Halo is actually MLG's fault? For instance, during the Bromberg days and stuff like that, they wouldn't let people use Halo. They wouldn't let people have their Halo teams at events. For instance, I bring this up multiple times. WSVG 2007 until Summer Championships, when they tried to have Halo, and like Straight Rippin' and Triggers Down and other teams couldn't even attend because they were basically owned by MLG. Do you think they're the ones that caused it? And like I said, I understand that's a completely different thing from what's going on now, but I'm wondering if they're sort of to blame here for that particular problem now.
I'm choosing my words really carefully because you can go so many different directions with this. Am I still muted?
No, you're good.
No,
you're good.
Sorry. I think if it was a different day, I might take this a different direction. It depends on your mood. But I will say that I think MLG did a wonderful job bringing Halo into the spotlight and really nurturing this community and giving us something and growing it to where it was. I don't think it was let go early enough. Or I don't think the community realized they needed to get active early enough. So no, I don't think it's MLG's fault. If anything, in the early days, they did a great job nurturing this community, and you saw things like, Gandhi passing the toilet paper to T2, T2 getting his own TV show and throwing gum at somebody. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but that stuff worked, and it was on USA Network, so they wanted to pick it up. And then the rules started coming in, and the restrictions started coming in. And that's a natural progression. That's okay. They were trying to own something. They didn't make it yet, which is totally fine. And again, just remember, if it was tomorrow, I might take this a different direction, but I just don't think it was let go early enough. Or the players didn't realize that they needed to fight out of it early enough. Because now look at us. We're worried, dude. We're scared.
I think that makes sense?
I think, oh, sorry, Jerry, to interrupt there, but I think, despite what people may think, I think you guys have a reason to be worried, for MLG at least. But me personally, with the amazing people in the community, I still see, because I've seen some communities fight back from the brink of extinction. I remember, and once again, I'm a PC guy. I remember Day of Defeat 1.3 holding a tournament as late as 2008. And it was a big tournament, 2007 Intel Summer Championships for WSVG. They rallied together and somehow got a 10-year-old game at this event sponsored by Intel. That's hard to do, man.
Yeah.
And you see things like Gears of War, where I think honestly, when you look at the spectating problems of that, I think they already have a few things against them. Because me personally, coming from someone watching other games, it's not exactly the easiest to spectate. And to me, Halo's 10 times more easy to spectate. At least Halo 3 and Halo 2 and stuff like that.
Really?
To me, yes.
But
To
look
me.
at what Gears of War
Now, Halo
did.
Reach
Gears
is
of War-
something different, but
To me, Gears of War is probably the easiest to spectate, I think.
I think so too, actually.
and not to me, man. Not coming, and maybe like I said, it has to do with me coming from PC. But to me, it's so different in the way it plays and what's going on and stuff like that. And like I said, I've also watched a lot more Halo and I've played Halo and stuff like that than I have Gears of War.
That's true.
So that could be sort of
Fair enough.
messing with
I
my
want
perception.
to move along, though. I want to keep this moving because there's a lot I want to cover. So we talk about Halo, and let's talk a little bit about Gears of War. Gears of War started out with a strong title, very easy to spectate. I thought it had a really good shot. Gears of War 2 was a disappointment. No different from what happened to Halo. We're all at the mercy of developers, in my mind, over and over again. They don't design games for eSports, and no matter what we do here, until that changes, we're always going to have difficulty going mainstream, in my opinion. But Nexy, once again, how do you see the state of Gears of War right now, and how does that look to you?
I think they're doing a lot of things right. I don't know if I see it as momentum, right? So if they can keep adding on to the momentum, they're going to be fine, as long as they keep it like momentum and they just don't stay stagnant. I'm worried for them. I think they did a great job during Gears of War 2, where there was a big lull, staying in touch at the very least, maybe showing up to a local tournament and just starting these forums up. Gears of War 3, it's early. The numbers aren't there, according to Major Nelson, right? But after Hype Festation, how can anyone doubt them? Because I don't think anybody expects them to be able to run a tournament on their own and get numbers that match, professionally put on broadcasts. So I'm proud of those guys. And dude, I played in Gears of War 1 tournaments back in the day. It's part of that scene. So there's a lot of pride there, and I want to figure out a way I can help. But it's certainly momentum right now. Let's see what they do with it.
It seems like Epic seems to be a lot more interested. But, I'm such a cynic. I don't know if Epic is interested in the esports community for Gears of War's sake, or if Epic is interested in the competitive community because they have Unreal Engine, and they can use Unreal Engine in a bazillion ways. And whatever happens in Gears of War, fuck it, we've made our money.
That's true.
Maybe we can actually design a title for esports, because to me, if I were Epic, as shitty as it sounds, I don't need esports. And Major Nelson's right. The numbers aren't there anyway. I need a new IP. I got to keep the engine fresh. There are other engines that are being developed all the time. I have all these new mobile platforms that I have to develop for. All this stuff is happening right now. I just think it's really tough for esports to have much of a dent on a developer like Epic, who, to be honest, it would be easier for them to re-examine or retool part of their engine to deliver a title much more spectator-friendly and suitable for esports.
Very interesting, Jerry.
Well, that being said, too, really quick, though, I mean, citing from what we had on a few weeks ago, we had on the guy from Extra Credits. Does everybody remember that conversation?
Yeah, James Portnow.
I think exactly he was some kind of like game development company consultant or something, if I remember right.
Strategic, yeah.
Strategic development or something to that extent anyway. And he was telling us that we would be surprised at how many companies actually do look into esports and look, especially now with Riot. The big success story here is Riot, I think.
True.
I mean, to me, Riot found a niche. Riot was hurting for a little bit there. If everybody remembers Riot wasn't doing incredibly well. They got bought out by this Chinese company, and then they decided to make this esports push, and I think it's really done well for them. I don't think that's their sole reason for success by any means, but I think
sure gave them exposure though.
Exactly.
Look at Riot's recent hires.
Yes,
yeah.
I was just going to say
that's a great point.
No, just to throw this out there, Riot is, if I were to put money in any developer right now in esports, it's Riot. Only because their management team is top-notch. They bring in the right people. They partner with people, I think, in a really positive way. And I think most importantly, if you look at it, I swear to God, everybody wrote them off in the beginning. It was Heroes of North, Dota 2, League of Legends. League of Legends is too easy. League of Legends is not going to work.
No denying.
League of Legends,
too easy for
right?
noobs. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
It's too cartoony. Look, I was part of that crowd that questioned its validity. I said, I don't know. I didn't like World of Warcraft because it was too cartoony. Cartoony games don't work for me. But I also learned my lesson with World of Warcraft, and I was very quiet. I didn't. We'll see. Lo and behold, fact, easier barrier to entry, lower barrier to entry means more people will play it. This is the same challenge you have in Gears of War, Call of Duty, and Halo. Halo, of the three games, in my opinion, requires the most skill. On the sheer fact that it's multi-level. Gears of War, flat surface. Call of Duty, flat surface minus a few buildings here and there. Halo, not at all. I am jumping, I am moving, I am in a 360-degree environment in so many key moments in a match. That requires more skill. Barrier to entry is greater. Now here's the challenge. How do we get... Now, StarCraft, we're talking about something that anyone can kind of play, but almost nobody can play at the level that is the top. How do you get that perfect mix? League of Legends has some of that going on. Not so much that you don't know the right thing to do, but the coordination and timing of a five-man team to make decisions and know its plan. Watching Moscow 5 in their picks playing was just brilliant. So that, again, you might be a phenomenal solo League of Legends player, but in any team sport, you're only as good as your team is. That's a challenge. So now looking forward, Gears has that low barrier to entry, but does it really have the skill gap that's going to make people respect the top players like we respect the top StarCraft players? And that's nobody's fault, right? That's just the name of the game. It's just where we're at. So I love Gears of War, obviously. I've always loved it. And I'm hard on that community the way somebody who loves something is hard on it. And I think that Hypefestation is a phenomenal idea. a lot of good people involved, and it's driven from the right passion. And Halo, maybe the LAN network was part of that, could have been part of that, but Halo definitely, if they could do something like that and get stream numbers like that, and I think they could, then I think they've got a place. There is a future there. But without that, if Major League Gaming balks on it, I think they are, I don't know, in really deep trouble.
I'll be mad at myself later if I don't say one thing. To your point of complexity in games, and I like to describe it as layers, right? So one of the layers is Halo is I have to run and I shoot. The second layer is I have to communicate. The third layer is I have to pay attention to weapon times. StarCraft has a stack of layers, and that's what makes it so complex. Halo Reach, I'm not convinced has those layers. People may say it takes a ton of skill. For me playing it, compared to the other games, all the other Halos I've played at a top, close to a top level, let's put it there, I'm not convinced Reach has that. So I would kill myself if I didn't say that out loud. Sorry.
Oh, all good.
No, fair enough. I mean, I think
most would agree, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's any question that the skill cap is decreased in Reach. I don't think anybody would debate that.
I think to me the question is, because in the end, and like I said, my opinion is a tad bit skewed. It's automatically biased in some aspects because I look for things as a manager, as someone who's been around in the community for a while, and as someone who came from PC. I look for different things than maybe some random console guy who hasn't been to an event before, hasn't watched an event before, looks at. However, me personally, I tend to look at the things that really make a match important, really make a game important. To me, once again, I'm going to compare it to Counter-Strike. I'm sorry. It really shocked the world when Godfrag TV and things like that were some of the first people to put in everything, to have all these elements where in HLTV you could make sure you never miss a shot because you're never delayed. You always get the shot you need. You have multiple angles, and you have camera angles, and you have in-game sound, and you have out-game sound. All of these things sort of mix together to show all the effects. And Nexy, I think you're the perfect person to talk about this, considering you do all the production stuff. But I mean, to me, that's got to be hard to do, but I think it's incredibly crucial, especially in a game, whether it be like Halo 4. Like you said, Halo Reach is, it's going to be hard to show something that's not there.
Yeah. I've broadcasted a few games for MLG and some for my own. I've done League of Legends. I've done StarCraft out of my house. I've done Halo. I've done Gears. I've done a lot of different games. I will say that StarCraft is the easiest game to direct, and I also feel that it's one of the easier games to cast because of the elements that you're talking about. It allows you to spin around and see it from different angles. It gives you time to, we're talking about the spectator experience at this point. There's time between things for you to predict. There's clear paths. And then the camera angles and all that is just another layer on top of it. I think StarCraft is the easiest game to cast and direct, followed by League of Legends. Then all those console first-person shooters, they are hard. And
agreed.
People are going to give you so much shit for that, but I couldn't agree more.
Oh, I agree too.
I don't care.
People are going to give you shit, but I could not agree more. People don't realize just how hard it is to understand and describe the complexities of FPS games. And I'm not saying that StarCraft's not complex. That would be a fucking stupid thing to say. What I'm saying is 100% what StarCraft does. What certain StarCraft units, what units counter some units, what blah, 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 what map does this, blah, 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 positioning, all that. It's hard to do that, number one, on the fly in an FPS game where you don't have any kind of setup, any kind of real time in between things. It's incredibly complicated, and people really take that for granted.
And I'd like to save myself. I think that the Day 9s, the JPs, our Toasters, Tasteless, they're all incredibly talented, no doubt. Some of them can be stand-up comedians. They're great. But Call of Duty, the commentators, Golden Boy, we had the Canadian Josh, Holiday Doc, whatever his name, I'm just kidding, and Corey Dunn, they had one TV that they were looking at, one player, and I had to switch through manually when they died, compared to Halo, who has 8 screens every player. Compared to StarCraft, who you have a free cam roaming around. It's just completely different per game, and it's not fair to compare some of these casters and broadcast to different games because the capabilities to the director aren't there. Yeah. But I'm taking it in a different direction.
No.
It's all good. It's all good.
I couldn't agree more. People gave people like Dunn and Golden Boy shit. People from the StarCraft community and stuff like that, and for that matter, other communities, and that is ridiculous. you need to know what their limitations are before you can do it. I think Golden Boy, and Dunn especially did an absolutely amazing job for what they had to work with. The fact I didn't even know they were running off of one camera angle. That is ridiculous.
That's insane.
Can you imagine doing an 8v8 game or a 4v4 game like that? I can't imagine. Or a 5v5
They weren't
game.
calling off player positions from other screens. They were looking at the mini-map and calling out the red dot.
Unreal.
It was unfair to them, and they did an incredible job, and so did people like Afa, who's in the chat room, who was actually the switcher for the Call of Duty broadcast. And early on, the Call of Duty, my whole team got, thrashed by the community, and, some of that stuff was fair. But when I brought people back there and I said, look, this is what I'm working with, look at what StarCraft's working with, people's mouths dropped to the floor. And I'm proud of that. So that's why I talk about it like that. And I hope I'm not coming off too egotistical or cocky.
Not at all.
But I am proud.
Not at all. And, something I think that's really important is, so we recently did eSports survey, and we looked to see what games people are playing and, what they wanted to see. You look at the activity for the week of January 16th on Xbox Live, right? The last week that's just been out there. Number 1 game, Modern Warfare 3. Number 2 game, Black Ops. Call of Duty is the dominant game on the Xbox 360. The top 2 titles are Call of Duty titles. Your next title is Skyrim, then FIFA 12, then Battlefield 3, then Halo Reach, then Gears of War 3, followed closely by Modern Warfare 2. People still playing Modern Warfare 2. So in the top 10, you have 3 Call of Duty titles. Now, I don't know the inside decisions as to what made Major League Gaming start out the way they did. There wasn't a lot of Call of Duty community support. Let's face facts. And what I mean by that is that the Call of Duty community itself, the competitive community, is small. And somehow that hasn't spread to this broad Call of Duty community. Therefore, Major League Gaming did not invest any more in it. That's the way I saw it. They just left it where it was, and we got pretty limited options with, as you just pointed out, with what could be done. 2012 rolls around. Tomorrow they're going to make an announcement. They have challenges that are developer-based challenges. There are things that have to be fixed on Modern Warfare 3 to bring it to the console. We know that. Yeah. Epic's product can work. How much money they're willing to give, a lot of people speculate on. And then there's tried and true sort of Halo Reach. Halo is a series. If you were guessing, Nexy, what Major League Gaming is going to do as far as what's actually going to be at the first pro circuit event, what are you guessing?
And I'm not talking about who deserves it more or anything like that. If I was sitting in Sundance's chair and it was my money that I was spending, I'd put it on Call of Duty. I feel that the Call of Duty, although, can be judged pretty easily, made major strides in their first year at MLG. At the beginning of this season, you saw players on stage saying things, wearing things, talking about things they shouldn't be doing. They just weren't matured or hip to the fact of how MLG works. By the end of the season, I think we started to see some professionalism out of those guys and a little bit of interest. I'm not saying that the stream numbers were incredible, but I think it was a major improvement, and I think we finally started to figure out how to broadcast that game, and I think there was a lot of ideas on what game types to use. I think now that we're in the off-season, we've actually seen a really good support from the Call of Duty community. I don't think it's died down like the Halo has. Well, See, I wish something that I admire about you guys is you guys can just start answering a question and sound brilliant. I need to take a second sometimes because sometimes I'll go down a path and I realize I don't know if I really wanted to go that way. But yeah, I would put my money on Call of Duty for this reason. 1, it's the biggest game on Game Battles. 2, it's the biggest game on Xbox Live. 3, I think it could only go up from where it is.
Now, and I agree with you. Let me start out that Call of Duty is where we're going to put our efforts. Mm-hmm. It's a tough community, I think, to break into. Not that our brand doesn't have the respect to Call of Duty. I think that the established, you have Optic Gaming, Quantic owns 2 teams, and then you have a rotating mix. I mean, you see similar things in Halo. It's just the burden of a console, sort of younger players tend to change the games a lot. We'll talk about some of that later, too. I want to talk about that. But I agree with you. Call of Duty is where I would put my money, too.
Can I add one thing?
I was going to say one thing. I don't think that's where it's going to end up.
Okay.
Really?
I think that it's my guess is that by that first event, there are two things that bug me. One, we know that Activision is doing their own big event. Maybe they're going to do it again, maybe they're not. They just did their own big event. Maybe they want to have it. Maybe they want to own it. They're a different company than Blizzard, although they're one company. Very different people. Will they fix it in time for the March event? Will they make Call of Duty LAN ready before the March event? I'm very iffy on that. And, right, and one thing that I'm also a little iffy on, and you guys can tell me if you think otherwise, I'm really a little... Sundance says, hey, I'm talking to Epic, good things about Gears. That sounds to me like those things still take time. It almost by default leaves Halo. Like, Halo has got enough foundation, you just carry it over to the next season, you give it one more shot, their excuse to and then all of a sudden you shift it for that second event. So come June in Anaheim, you're going back to Activision's headquarters. There's no BlizzCon this year. Blizzard's going to be out. I don't know. By June, though, you could have Call of Duty all ready to go and all ready to sort of pump up. Where does Epic and Gears fit in? And are we going to see fighting games on the PlayStation 3?
I think we will.
If so, which ones?
Let me ask you a question, though. I want to ask this to anybody that wants to answer. Do you, but Jerry specifically, because I think this is more of an organizational question, do you necessarily agree with MLG doing that? And what I mean by is, do you agree with them putting up a game for one spot, one event?
Well,
why not?
Because me personally,
here's a couple of things, right? If Infinity Ward's game is ready and MLG doesn't take it, I think they're making a mistake. If Infinity's Ward game is not ready for LAN, their hands are tied. You can't do the impossible. So at that point, you have to make a call, and there's no reason not. You have two other communities to choose from who will attend an event in Columbus. If it were me, right? Another thing you could do, as crappy as it sounds, maybe it's Halo's farewell event. Maybe you officially say goodbye and thank you to Halo, right? And you say, we'll re-examine it at Halo 4. We're going to have Halo for one more event. And this is our big, respectful send-off to the community.
If they make it like that...
I'm just going to be honest. I don't think Major League Gaming should just drop Halo cold and be like, sorry, the game sucks. I mean, it would be classy to me. It would show some dignity to just have that final Halo event. Tell the world it's the last Halo event, at least until Halo 4. Say we're sorry. Tell the pros, tell the world, be open, or keep it. But I just don't see it getting coldly dropped. So I'm gonna say that of those three games, I think Halo still has a good shot. I mean, if I were running it, that's just me, though.
I don't see why not.
I hope they do. I mean, but my thing is,
Kurt.
I hope. Sorry, I hope. Before I forget it, I hope. My thing is, I hope they do, but I hope they do it the way you said they do. I hope they do it as a send-off kind of thing, not as they just say, announce it and then don't give us anything about the next event. You know what I'm saying? Because that to me, that leaves people like me and you uncertain. And I cannot stand being uncertain about the future of a game.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jason.
I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
I will never speak this episode. I will let you all go. I'll walk away. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The way that MLG is going to be set up this year with the championships, it is very open to switching games between events. If something goes well, if something goes bad, it is so easy for them to go, you know what, let's switch this up. Because you know what, it isn't a circuit for the entire year. They don't have to worry about one title sticking around the entire year. So if things were to go bad with MW3, or if, Halo goes on this event and then they say, you know what, the numbers still aren't there, the pros aren't doing that, there's so much maneuverability that they have this year. They really do. Just the very nature of the way the MLG season is going to be played this year, I think is a huge benefit. And no matter what we see, I think by the end of the year, we'll probably see different games. I think that's...
Do you understand?
Go ahead.
Do you understand how much that sucks for us? like people like me and Jerry.
It might be. It might.
I invest time and money into a game that I hope to have a long future. And I can't. it really makes me have a hard time trusting MLG and putting money into things other than StarCraft.
I gotta jump in there though, because one, it's not hard for me. This is where you and I differ. I grew up in the volatility of the console scene, and I grew up in a Major League Gaming environment where Bromberg didn't want to have anything to do with organizations like us.
Yeah,
so,
we're thugged out in here, man.
Right? I mean, but seriously, I had to survive despite the fact there were two things working against us. One, Vinny and Paul and these other organizations were ridiculous. I would not like them either. If I had to deal with Vinny day in and day out and all of his wanting to make it like, at that time the WWF, and he wanted to be, the mob godfather, and Paul was going to be the head of the FBI agency, and they were going to have some bizarre subtext to that play out to live his Italian gangster lifestyle he wants. Yeah, boys! That shit had to go, right? That was not going to work. But at the end of the day, right, I was able to just, we're going to work through it. We're going to build a community. We're going to do these things. I knew our intentions were good. And if you keep throwing stones and you keep saying, I'm not going away, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I really want the same thing you do, eventually someone's going to listen, right? So I think I differ a little bit there. And let me throw something out there that I haven't talked about. And this is to everybody in the stream, too. Call this a little bit of business. Now, we're talking about flexibility. I think it goes beyond flexibility. It makes so much sense. I have always thought, holy shit, what fucking sponsor would want to commit to a whole season? But commit to one event, that's a lot better deal right now, right? I get to go in there, invest some money, measure the return I got for my investment, see how this plays out. That's brilliant. I don't know why in 7 years nobody thought of that before, right?
I agree with Jerry on this.
And if you still want to commit to the season, if you still want to commit to the season, you invest in StarCraft.
Yes.
Yeah, there's still an option for you there.
There you go. You're right.
Here's another question I have
exactly.
very sort of similar to the same thing here. We're talking about StarCraft and the problem. What?
Got to put you on a clock. We're going to do like a chess clock. And you got
Ding, done.
If we're done, let's be done. I mean, you know me, dude. I can go all night. But
no, what I want to go to with all that being said, right? We just said, hey, look, this is a good deal. We talked about Halo. We talked about Gears. We talked about Call of Duty. We talked about, what we know. We know that there may be issues with Call of Duty on land. Does that tie MLG's hands? We know that Sundance tweeted that there might be something he can work out with Epic. Those things take time. That may not mean anything goes down in March. Does that leave Halo? Some people agree, some people disagree. I want to kind of leave that summation there and move to the other platform that they have in a warehouse somewhere that probably gets as much use as mine. But let's talk about the PlayStation 3.
Right.
Let's talk about the fighting game community. Let's talk about Sundance. I think made it pretty clear he'd like to see fighters on there. Will we get shocked that Capcom did something? Is it no hope? And are we at Mortal Kombat in that?
Not a chance in hell.
Yeah, I know. Where do you guys think? And I'm going to start with you, Kurt. What do you think? And then you hand it over to Andreas. And I'm hitting the chess clock right now. Go.
Keep it short. Not a chance in hell. Go Nexy. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead. What do you think, Andreas?
I think that you're going to have to try until you do it, but I don't think you're going to get any Capcom games this year.
Gotcha. And so what do you think that leaves? Mortal Kombat, maybe? What do you...
This is hard because obviously I have a little, I hear things, right? And I'm not going to just give it up that way. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to participate in this
now
question.
I'm going to have to hound him after the show and be like, you tell me what games are going to be out. And he'll be
I'll
like,
make a
find out
prediction.
tomorrow.
Well, keep in mind, I'm not there, but I still, I do video content for MLG once a week. There's the discussion if I'm going to be directing next year. So I hear things that I just got to be careful with this one.
Fair,
How about that?
Fair. Will we know tomorrow? How about that?
I don't even know that. I don't know.
So we'll see.
We're supposed to know tomorrow. So if we don't know tomorrow, I'm just going to slap the shit out of somebody.
Here's an easy way to find out what games MLGs are picking up. Look at what their staff members are playing on Xbox Live. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, but what if they're on the PlayStation Network? But
Nobody. Yeah,
or is
true.
it on Xbox Live? Or is it on Xbox? Did he slip up there?
No.
Are we talking FIFA 12 here? What do we got
People are going crazy now, man. This is getting ridiculous.
All right.
This is Intelligence 101, right? Triangulate. We start to narrow it down a little bit. We know that they can create video for it. What's going to happen? So we'll see what they announce tomorrow.
If we're going fighting games, I think we will see MK9 because they tested it out last year. I think that if we see any fighter, that's probably the most obvious one to possibly go with. That's a prediction. But then again, there's also one other option because last time on the show, Sundance did said he was working with Namco, and then what just released today? Soul Calibur 5. That's a great possibility.
Also, Filthy Rich, the former tournament director for the Tekken tournament, is a manager at Namco.
Oh.
Filthy Rich is the best.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
The best.
I have to admit this. Soul
He's a
Calibur
Tekken guy,
series.
though, so-
Hold on. Soul Calibur series gets such shit from hardcore fighting game community fans, but to me, as a spectator, and this is where Kurt and I disagree, so let me get it out before Kurt jumps on and rambles about it.
Oh, no.
Here we go. I look at Tekken, and it's so jittery and jumpy, the movement, because they're moving at they're always jockeying for position, and it's very hard to, like, come back in Tekken. It feels very one-sided. It's like tactical excellence, but that's kind of it. Soul Calibur is so much easier to watch. It's actually kind of cool. And, like, on the PlayStation, when they had Soul Calibur 4 at MLG, I remember being like, oh, like it drew my attention, right? Of all the games that are on there that they're doing side shit on, Mario Kart and everything else, I usually walk by not really being drawn in. Soul Calibur's got that kind of gloss that catches my attention. And then, of course, it's a fighting game, and it doesn't have that twitchiness, that jerky motion that Tekken players always have. And I think that if we're looking at pure spectatorness, right, that how friendly it is for a spectator, the jerky motion is a little offsetting, to be honest, to me. And that gives a Soul Calibur room. Mortal Kombat's really easy to watch, and I like Mortal Kombat because I'm so familiar with all the characters. I've played it. A lot of people have played it. It's kind of hard to not know something about Mortal Kombat. So either one of those titles seems okay to me, except when you look at the hardcore fighting community that you need to support this. They're the ones who, I don't know, it's just not an easy community to get.
That to me is really the overall point. Does it fucking matter? Like, does it matter what game it is if it's not Street Fighter? If it's not Marvel vs. Capcom 3? Does it matter? I don't really think so. In the end, in the overall scheme of things, I don't think it matters. Pick any other game, I don't think it's going to be
Street Fighter versus Tekken.
I don't think it's going to make. Well, Street Fighter vs. Tekken might be something different. But Street Fighter vs. Tekken is a Capcom game, isn't it? So,
yeah, if you're able to get that, you're able to get Super and Marvel. You're not going to settle.
Exactly. So I mean, but Tekken Tag Tournament 2, that would be fucking fantastic.
No.
But anyway, but that won't happen because that's not on console this year. But yeah, no, I mean, that's my thing. Is I don't think it's necessarily going to matter. I don't think that in the end, the quote unquote hardcore fighting community, which is in the end, I believe who we're going to need, is really going to.
You better be careful, bro. You might be sponsoring some random fighting game player next year, dude. It doesn't matter what game. Yeah, it does.
I don't think so, man. I really don't. I mean, because in the end, it's hard for me to sponsor a fighting player based on MLG anyway, because they've already disappointed me when it comes to Tekken. I invested heavy into Tekken because they said it was, likely, next year, and then I get squashed, hopes and dreams. So.
I hear you, man. Totally hear you.
But no, I mean, I just don't see it mattering really. But
Melee.
I hope it does. I hope it does, though. I hope it matters because I think it needs a fighting game.
All right, I want to now ask Nexy some questions about, put him on the spot. Over the 5 years that I've known you, you've dealt with a lot of different gaming communities. And I want you to tell me, and I'm on it, what was your most difficult community to deal with and why?
The Halo community.
Tell me why.
Damn it, I was hoping you would say StarCraft. Okay.
Because they don't care about each other.
Tell me what you mean. I mean, you've been really hard recently on the Halo community, and I'm going to challenge you. Are you just saying that because you're watching sort of a disappointed father approach where your son's...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, tell me what you mean.
Even the Madden guys were grateful. Even the Madden players who had the EA... I produced the EA Sports Challenge, the Madden Challenge in 2009, I want to say. Even those guys who have always had the Madden Challenge and have been traveling around the country on EA's dime were grateful that MLG picked it up and supported it. The Call of Duty players, I mean, they had a rocky start, but by the end of the season, it was important that the YouTube celebrities were starting to get involved. They got it. They appreciated it. League of Legends players, Gears players, Rainbow Six Vegas 2 players would put stuff in their motto and sit in lobbies and just join games. Check out MLG Pro. These guys got it. The Halo players, for so long, they weren't with it, man. They thought they were just too cool. They ran the show, and then StarCraft showed up. So there was never camaraderie. There was proud, people were proud of MLG, but they put MLG in their name, stuff like that. But they didn't work for it, man. There's no community events besides Rod out in Ninja Halo. What's up, Rod? But there was no community events for Halo because they gave up. It's like they're sucking off the nipple of MLG, which is fine. It happens. But they're the hardest community to work with, man, because you owe them something. You owe them something. And I'm part of that community, so it's kind of hard because I'm both sides,
Do you think that's because of, one of the reasons is because of, and I know, a bunch of the reasons, but one of the reasons is because of the sort of celebrities that MLG made? I mean, and I applaud MLG for making some celebrities too. For instance, I mean, I think a great point in something that I wanted to bring up really quick was the fact that even today, in what some people call as a dead game, and I don't think Halo is dead by any means, but I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Like and some people calling it, that people are having problems, stuff like that. You see people like T Squared has an interview tonight on XPlay. Yeah. T Squared, and it was for Modern Warfare 3.
But here's the problem.
Made celebrities. Okay, no, go ahead.
But here's the problem I have. Halo's going downhill. Puckett's casting Call of Duty. Gandhi's casting Gears of War. T Squared's posting Battlefield videos every day. I don't blame them. But they're not our celebrities anymore. Yeah, Halo might have made them the celebrities, but they're gone, bro. They're and they'll come back. Like I'm not trying to rag on them.
We need to just fucking say this. You know what? I'm glad you said it first, because now I'm going to rant. It's coming.
Yes!
Oh.
You know what? Here it is. I'm going to start out this rant with something I've wanted to say for 5 years. You know what? Fuck Halo. Fuck all you Halo motherfuckers out there, and I'm going to tell you why. It was never fucking enough. Gears players, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, gear, shirts, fucking dinner, hotels, but not Halo. You wouldn't even get a semi-pro team unless you were willing to pay flights. They'd rather eat the fucking money themselves than have to fucking fly. What the fuck? You know what now? Fuck you. And you know what? Fuck Walshy and T-Squared and the whole fucking lot of them. Like rats on a drowning ship, they're the first one to grab what little celebrity they have left and run off and think somebody gives a shit. Well, bravo fucking Walshy for whatever you're doing with Red Bull. Good that you're a marketing tool from them. And I have to work with that bastard at the ECA, so I say this just honestly. Later on, I'd like to still do good things with you, David. But beyond that, fuck all of you. Yes, you were the most difficult community to work with, and somebody needs to tell you this shit. Who the fuck today cares about Halo? I can get a StarCraft player who will get 600 people on his stream, and he'll be glad to do it for a hotel and an opportunity to be part of a great community and have fans on his stream and be promoted by VV Gaming and do all this. But from a Halo player, fuck no, that was never going to happen, right? Oh, no, Lord Jarrett. Oh, you suck as a sponsor. You fucking suck. What do you do for your players? You don't cover travel. Well, fuck you. You know what I didn't do? I didn't go bankrupt like Mob or fucking Paul trying to support bullshit players who would never give me a return on an investment. So you can go fuck yourself. And you know what? If you drown right now, I am not going to be the one to throw you a life preserver. In fact, I might drive the ship over your fucking head and make sure you're fucking dead. And that's for the 5 fucking years you were too fucking good to take a hotel and gear from sponsors and fucking free food and all the other shit we offered. But no, I want you to fly my ass from Anaheim to fucking New York so I can fucking place 12th. Big fucking deal. You thought you were worth that kind of money? Go fuck yourself. Now what are you going to do? Now you're going to be lucky to get anybody to look at you. One more thing. Fuck your name, too. I know when I mean this to fucking a straight ripping, fucking, I don't know, you name the team, right? Carbon, straight ripping, Final Boss, all of you, right? EG offers fucking a pretty good contract. I have inside information of what they offer. They go to a Halo team. We don't want to change our name. Fuck you and your name. Why don't you rot in your name? That's another fucking problem. Who the fuck cares? You in your delusional head live in a fucking game where you think that's the fucking world that matters. Well, that's not the world that matters. Fucking people at Campbell's Soup need to know who the fuck you are, so they'll give money to Major League Gaming. Yes, it's just fucking soup, like Hot Pockets. But there's a lot of people who pay attention to what Campbell does, right? And you need to get their attention. And they don't care what your fucking name is. Fucking Final Boss, fucking Hungry Hippos, fucking Too Good to Be True. Whatever the fuck your bullshit stupid name is, it does not matter except for the small Halo community that at the end of the day, look where they are now. So fuck Halo. Fuck your bullshit attitude, and as far as I'm concerned, you slit your own throats, and I, for one, am not going to bend over backwards to help you. And fuck Ninja, too, for his shitty little shit he pulled when we try to fucking sponsor him. Go fuck yourself and your shitty little stream. The fact that so many Halo players are bored to watch your shit, they can all fucking kill themselves. And that's how I feel about that.
Halo.
But now that I got that off my chest, I want you all to know that I really do hope Halo makes it. I'd hate to see the game go away. I mean, I think it deserves a classy send-off.
And that just shows the relationship that, this is the taste left in Jerry's mouth after 5 years of trying to have a relationship with Halo. Now, I'm not saying, Jerry, I can't say that I agree with everything, but I got to say that I understand where that frustration comes from. So I have to just put my 2 cents at the end of that, and that's what that was. But
yeah,
wow, dude.
I just wanted to get that off my chest because... let me tell you a story. We dropped our Gears team after that fucking disaster at Hypefest Station and the way they behaved. What did Enmity do the day he got dropped? He came to me and said, Lord Jareth, I'll do whatever I have to. I'll wait another 3 months. I'm going to reapply. Is that okay? Not a fucking word. Not a whine. Not a cry. Not a, oh my God. I know I made a mistake. That's the kind of player I can give a second chance to. That's the kind of people we need in competitive gaming. We need people who get the bigger picture. I am not in this for a profit. I did it because I love what I'm doing. If I make money at it, when that day happens, I will let you know. But until then, you would think, and this is the same thing Kim Rom said, it's the same thing that Sundance said. You think after all the years of supporting esports, right, all the work that goes into it, what Andreas, what Nexy just said, could you just fucking say thank you?
Yeah.
Yeah, just fucking say thank you, right? I don't want a fucking blowjob. I don't want you to fucking pay me money. Just thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think I wish we could find a good medium between being too cocky and too spoiled to take things, that are plenty worth them, and then also have enough community behind yourself, enough pride behind yourself to push you like some of these players do. I mean, because to me, like I said, like I was telling you at the very beginning, one of the things that drew me the most to Halo as a console title was one of the only titles that I watched a lot, was because of just how vocal they were about every fucking thing. Sometimes bad, most time good though. I mean, it was really, really an amazing thing, and I don't think you see that from some other communities. I think you're slowly starting to see it in Call of Duty, but I wish they would just stop at a point. They would just stop and go, hey, this is what we're worth, so we're going to take this. Not, hey, fuck you, we don't need you.
Here's one aspect that certain gaming communities have that make their game great and entertaining, that Halo used to have. You look at Street Fighter, and you have a bunch of people playing in a region, learning their own tactics, learning off of each other. They fly out to a tournament and play a similar group of people who practice in their own region. You look at games like Starcraft where there's a team house. These players strategize with each other. They're mysterious. They come up with strategies, test them against other people at tournaments. In some cases, Melee, no online feature. It was great. You get together with your buddies, same thing. Halo 1 used to do that. When you went to tournaments, it was about recognition. It wasn't about the money. It was about representing for your group of people or for yourself, but it wasn't about the money. And that's what made Halo 1 so great. I see that kind of stuff in Street Fighter. I see that kind of stuff in StarCraft. I don't see it in Halo Reach.
Guitar Hero? Yeah.
Guitar Hero.
I would agree, man. My problem is I unfortunately seeing a bunch of other communities going that way. I just hope they stop before it goes overboard. StarCraft being a prime motherfucking, and I please express motherfucking example. Same for Call of Duty. I see them going a bit overboard.
And let's take this now to sort of let's start looking forward. And one thing I wanted to cover tonight, because for those of you who don't know, I mean, Andreas sort of said it earlier, Nexy has done a lot of directing and producing of content. He is now at Astro doing the exact same thing, and I imagine with a lot more creative freedom and being able to do that. I think we all agree, or we all, it should be obvious to everyone here, streaming, meaningful content, the kind of content that keeps a viewer entertained. We're now coming into I would say we're trying to be like, mainstream, and that means that the general audience has a choice what they want to watch. I need to catch up on Game of Thrones, or I need to watch The Walking Dead, and I need to watch my favorite sports team. How much time do I have left over for esports? And when I do have left over, what do I choose? I think that's why when somebody says to me, Jerry, you can't compare StarCraft to other things, I say I have to. I have to because everybody's competing for the time of the audience, and we all only have 24 hours in a day. So how does a viewer decide what game to watch? And where are they going to be best entertained? And moving forward, I think now we have to ask the question, what is the most entertaining content that we create? What will get us the most viewers? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to go mainstream, it has to have a critical mass to make it profitable, and there has to be a return on the advertisers and sponsors who support it. StarCraft is poised to go in that direction. And I'm kind of in the space of, can we narrow it down? Do we have to have 50 games out there? And realistically, can we? What other games? I know League of Legends is trying its own sort of Leaguecraft or Bar League or whatever it's called. And they're trying to do something. And that's good because you can get the older crowd involved and put it in a social setting. But moving forward, I want to sort of hit on this. I don't want to see another fucking shitty scrim video. I don't want to watch somebody's montage. That was 5 years ago. Today, it's got to be quality content. And I want to get your feeling overall, Nexy, on how important content is, and how do you make it entertaining? What should people do?
Yeah, you're investing. VVV invests in gaming. I know CheckSix is the same. You could say the same about your sponsors, the company that I work at now. But what are we really investing in? The games being played to an extent, but really the content that comes out of it. So just to back up your point, like content is that important because that's really what we're putting our money toward. With that being said, what is good content? That's my job to figure out, man, and trying to stay ahead of the curve. That's a really hard question, dude. I wish. Hold on, let me. Fuck, dude.
No. You know what? It's the thing. I kind of set them up too because you've got great ideas. We have talked about some of your ideas. You understand what it is to produce good content. In a matter of fact, from a technical end, what you just said about Call of Duty, about them having to survive with one single screen, that the caster where someone's manually switching the screen. I bet 90% of our audience did not know that. Mm-hmm. And when someone like Hastro or other people who were at the Xbox, the Activision event, the XP event out in LA, they said that's the way to produce Halo. Those are some of the specifics they were talking about, that they had that full support. Now, does that mean that MLG can allocate those kind of resources? I just don't know. Should they? If the game is landable, like Nexy and I said, Call of Duty rises to the top of potential. But as we're just talking about, maybe we should just think about Call of Duty. What's going to make good content in Call of Duty? I'm going to throw out one that I think is fantastic. Introduce me to the players. Get me to learn about the players. Mm-hmm. Tell me their human story. I want to know, I don't even know half the Call of Duty, most of the Call of Duty players, anything except their name. Right? I know what team they play on, probably because it's Optic something, as an example, right? But who are they? Who are they really? If I don't know that, I can't connect to them as human beings. And I think that holds true for a lot of audience members.
I agree.
I tried during the Call of Duty broadcast, and I'm trying to form words out of these ideas and these values that I tried to put onto my crew because I was trying to accomplish something like this. One, obviously, we're trying to put a face to the game and give you their background story. But two, I wanted it so if you watched the player and you had no
no idea who it was, you can figure out who that player was by their play style. And the way you do that is you target things that he's doing in the game. And the game has to allow you to do this too. And Corey Dunn has to say, oh, look how he does his left strafe. That's definitely the optic left strafe. And you can identify players by their play style. And obviously, but that's what I wanted to figure out how to do. And that's something that I think when somebody figures that out, maybe you could do it in StarCraft. You can not see who's playing and see their play style and go, oh, that is Nexy because he just made up a ton of banlings. That's going to be successful content. Besides the whole background story, because that's important too.
Yeah, I think
let me
you're
ask you
right.
a quick question, Jerry, about that background story thing. Do we think my problem is I see StarCraft overshadowing most of anything that's at MLG, and I hope MLG proves me wrong. I mean, I understand they have to baby their bread and butter. I get that completely, but I don't want to see them add something and then do it half-ass.
Okay, now, here's the thing. I think there's three things in play, and it's really important that we understand these three things so we're a little bit smarter than everybody else, and I really mean that. One, things change. We really have to understand things change. So I think they've already done Call of Duty half-assed. Mm-hmm. But it isn't dead. It isn't gone away. I critiqued Call of Duty very heavily. I said a lot of negative things about the commentators because some were horrible, and the quality of how entertaining it was to watch. A lot of people listened. The Call of Duty community pros did not lash out at me. They agreed, and they were realistic, and that earned my respect. They engaged me. They engaged my opinion, but they still loved their game, and they wanted to see their game be successful. So I think it's important that, do I think StarCraft will be the big event in Columbus no matter what happens. It's impossible for it not to be. But that doesn't mean in a year that can't change. And it doesn't mean that there isn't an audience for a first-person shooter game. And I think we get very much caught up in the short term. This sucks, this is good, this is great, right? There are things that I like that may be different from what Nexy likes, different from what you like, Kurt, to watch. I can watch StarCraft. I really can. And I love to watch StarCraft in a group because I like to hear people's reaction to what they're watching. And I kind of keep track of how accurate my own players and community are when they make predictions, when they assess players. And I learn who to learn from by how accurate they are. So that dynamic in StarCraft is really unique. I'd like to do that same thing in League of Legends. I think that's another game, if we're going to look at another game that could come close, that could really do it. If it's got the right kind of announcers who know the teams, who can really break down what's going on, League of Legends could be a huge home run for Major League Gaming. 5-man teams are difficult to sponsor, but with Riot support, they've been able to do a lot of good things. I think that game is something that you also could watch, and it has the baseball effect to me. Baseball is very boring. I can't watch baseball. It kills me. But if you listen to the art of baseball announcing, it is a stream of statistics.
Yeah.
And it keeps you entertained, right? It gives, John, so let's assume your players are down 4-0, and you feel like, oh, fuck, they're going to lose. A guy comes up to bat. This is the nice part. A guy comes up to bat. The announcer says, well, every time he pitches in Wrigley Field on a windy night against a left-handed batter, generally, it doesn't go well for this pitcher. All of a sudden, everybody's looking at that pitch to see if that's going to happen. And bam, you got your audience back into the game. Then it gets done, and we go back and we talk about, whatever we're bullshitting about at the baseball game or at home, and then we go back to those moments. I think League of Legends is that kind of game. You could do it like baseball. You could bring them into, because there's a lot of downtime, and then there's these awesome coordinated attacks and moments. And you can bring everybody in, and you can talk about some of these matchups. League of Legends has that. And because League of Legends has that, and because you've seen something like that in Halo, it's doable for a first-person shooter.
The game tells the story. The game is telling the story as it progresses, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
I wanted to point out, and if you guys don't watch this show live, here's why you should. The switcher, the guy who manages, switches between cameras from Tekken, is in the chat arguing with the guy who switched cameras for Call of Duty, comparing the equipment and talking about who had more equipment to work with, and it's a really telling story. And I know I just sidetracked it, but sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
No, and I'm going to turn it over to Kurt. I know you want to say something, Kurt.
That's amazing, though.
I think, and when people tell me, Lord Jareth, what should I do? I want to get involved in gaming. The biggest opportunity in gaming right now is quality content, quality storytelling, understand these things.
Yep.
You should be studying. Next time you watch a sports game, forget who's fucking playing. Pay attention to every word and every story and everything the announcers say. Start to listen to what they do.
Yep.
Right? They have this ability. They have this unique ability to, how do you, when you have a mismatched game, right, where one team's really better than the other and they're going to win, look at how many times they try to give the underdog team some leeway, some hope, something for their fan base to cling to, right? I was listening to NPR radio show this morning, and they were covering this fan for the LA Clippers. He gets dressed up. He goes to all the games. I guess he's the famous L.A. Clipper fan. He sort of dresses in this red and blue suit. Such a big fan. He's 5 rows behind Jack Nicholson at the L.A. Center there, who obviously always roots for the Lakers. And Mark Cuban offered him to move to Dallas to cheer for the Mavericks, which he politely turned down, and smartly so, because it would kind of hard to maintain your image if you change teams for the money. Still one of the most photographed fans in the history of basketball.
That's cool.
And one of the guys who's in our stream, one of our biggest fans is Biscuit. Biscuit was at Orlando, and he purchased, I didn't give them to him. He purchased 2 VV shirts, put them on a hat, took a bunch of pictures, was having fun being in the community, and he cares. He generally cares about people learning about VV gaming and sharing the positive experience he has with other people. This will need to happen in every community. It happens organically in StarCraft. It happened in Halo. I've seen it happen in Gears. It needs to happen more often than Call of Duty. The Call of Duty community itself needs to stop agreeing that it's shit and start staying there. If you're a Call of Duty player and Call of Duty is being played, you should be in the Call of Duty section. You shouldn't be like, fuck that, we lost, I'm going to go watch Halo. That's not the way you should maintain yourself. There's stories still being told. It may not involve your fucking loser ass, but you have the opportunity to make a difference. Right? I'm just being honest. Like, I've seen those bitter kids before. And I always think, they need to understand that, so you suck. It's okay. Embrace your suck. Go watch good people play.
I heard you say that
That's
in a while.
why at an MLG event. Learn from them, right? Watch how they carry themselves.
And maybe if you're there rooting and MLG sees that, they'll give somebody like me more equipment to put on a better show for you, or whoever it might be.
So that's the advice to the Call of Duty community. Watch your own game. Get there and pay attention. It is really in your hands. And what Nexy said about, and I really think this is true, there was something about the Rainbow Six community, too, that I really liked. And I really felt that those guys, I don't know, they weren't necessarily older. They were a little bit more mature, but they loved their game. They were good at it. They were really good at it, some of them. And it was fun to be with them. We had, I'll never forget, more than ever, one of a coach that we had, Skippy, who was from Staten Island, with his accent. I think he was one of the most entertaining people to watch coach. And the way he got people involved on Xbox Live in Rainbow Six Vegas, people who weren't that good, people who were playing game battles. He just had that kind of charisma to pull people into whatever room he was in and talk about MLG and talk about these players.
Yep.
And all of a sudden he had an audience. These people who didn't know shit about Major League Gaming were sitting in there listening to him talk about these players that he knew so well, who they didn't know shit about, but because he was a good storyteller, all of a sudden they were listening in, and the next thing you know, I'd see an application from one of those people on our site, and now they have a road to Major League Gaming. Yep. You got to do that, right? And I'm going to make a shameless plug here, and I really mean this, because it's our 100th show. Been doing this for 5 years. I've hopefully proven we're credible and sincere. If you've got friends who want a friendly community to start learning about gaming, come send them to VV Gaming, right? We do put our arms around people. Sir Scoot said this from EG, and he's right. We embrace young gamers. If you've got friends who aren't that good or aren't that talented, but you want them to learn about this, either A, start your own competitive gaming community, or B, just have them come over to us, right? Because we will definitely take those people and embrace them and help them learn about competitive gaming. And I've always felt that because we don't take the top players and just throw money at them, that we do a little bit more of that development. We're a really good place for that. And I feel proud of that. I really do. It's a different model, but it has its place in esports. And I know I monopolized this, so Kurt, I probably cut you off a couple
Hold
times.
on, let me grab one thing real quick, just because it's a quick aside. Just something that you were mentioning, and I saw something in the stream, so I wanted to comment on it just really quickly. It was earlier. You were talking about storytelling, and you were talking about, telling a story, things like that. Someone in the chat earlier said that commentary was easy, and it was just play-by-play, and play-by-play is easy. And I can't disagree anymore with that, because yes, just saying what's going on in a game is easy, but if you want to be someone that really helps out right now with Call of Duty or whatever the title might be, like Jerry is saying, learn to tell a story. They don't just tell you what's going on when you watch football. They don't just say, oh, the running back has the ball and he's running towards the defenders trying to get away. Oh, no, he's just scored a touchdown. No, they tell you a story. They tell you about the people that are playing. They tell you about what is going on behind the game, the backstories. Maybe there's family members on opposite teams. Maybe there's a certain, as Jerry was saying, in this condition, these players do better, these players do worse. We need that to grow each of these communities. So to the person who said, play-by-play is it and it's easy, definitely not. We need to learn more about these people that are the players. We need to tell a story. Just a quick aside, wanted to just comment on that. Welcome back, Nexy. Sorry that I didn't really...
I'm sorry, guys.
Dude, hey, I'm sorry I didn't give you the opportunity. He told me, like, an hour ago he needed to take a quick second.
He did, man.
He did. Bad.
He held in like a trooper, man.
I just knew
I'm
not going to lie. I really was like, this poor guy. And I was really going to say, Nexy, go pee. I just realized our audience would have no idea where the fuck I knew that from. And it looked like, what? But anyway, so...
go ahead, sorry.
While Jerry was on his rant, I actually peed my pants. So I did get to pee a little bit before.
I have two final questions, one of which we talked about before the show, and I want to hit before we end because you were excited to talk about it. But before we do that, I want to finish up with what we were talking about before, and that was simply, my only question is, and this was what I started with, but then we got off on a different subject, was my problem with StarCraft being the overshadowing element right now, and that's understandable, like I said, I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Is MLG going to provide the necessary resources and equipment to make games like Call of Duty or make games like Halo or make games like the fighting games the way that we need them to be in order to actually grow that community? Are they actually going to provide things like more than one, television or screen for each commentator, more than one view? Or, are they actually going to provide those things is my problem.
I think you look at League of Legends. I think you look at the setup that we had for League of Legends, and I directed the League of Legends stream also, where the stations were across the room. We couldn't get cameras over there. It was difficult to get our commentators down there with the stick mics to do floor updates. It just wasn't an ideal setup, and it was just because it's just what had to be done at the time. But the community supported it, and Reddit blew up, and people watched it. And MLG says, oh, cool. If now we can put the full effort into it, or at least we'll see what they do. I'm assuming that they're going to do something like that next year. So I can't tell if I'm still live or not. I think I just dropped it out.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh.
What happens with League of Legends?
Just lagging a little bit. That's what's going on.
Oh. Yeah, my Fed told me I dropped for a second. That's why I freaked out.
No, you're good.
It's cool. But yeah, no, I hope so. I mean, that's my thing. In the end, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to actually grow if we don't get the resources to do so. You know, and I don't think, we have to ask for an extreme amount, but you can't, and they're working on it. I mean, the fact that according to Sundance, they're going to be having commentary actually be able to hear in the events now for Call of Duty. To me, that's huge. That's really important. But anyway, I think we need to be done with that.
So if I can, I just want to recap real quick some things that we covered. So hopefully somebody out there's listening is going to say, I want to get into esports, or I want my team to be sponsored, I want to do something. I'm a Halo player, what can I do? I'm a Call of Duty player, what can I do? I just want to remind you all of what we said. The first most important thing is support your game everywhere. You need to tell people who play your game about Major League Gaming. And they need to get on social media like Twitter and Facebook, and they need to support what Major League Gaming is doing. And you know what? Sundance looks at his Twitter. If he gets a million Twitters about Call of Duty, he's looking at Call of Duty. If you find out that your game isn't being supported by your developer, you let your developer know. Hey, Activision. Hey, Infinity Ward. Make this game land ready, right? And get other people to get involved. Right, you got to tell a story. You got to look. Let's say I'm a Call of Duty player and I work every day and I'm like 35 years old and I don't give a shit what you kids want. But one day I'm playing with you and you tell me, "Hey, thanks. You're really good. You sound a little bit older. I don't know how old. Oh, I'm 35. Yeah, you don't play too bad, really. So all of a sudden I'm talking to you, and you start that relationship with somebody and you get that guy, right, to start looking at Major League Gaming and what they're doing. The next thing you know, you have somebody who may coach a team and pay for another team to come to an event and spread the word about Major League Gaming on Twitter and social media. That's how you do it, right? It's one person at a time. So get out there and reach out to people, do that. And when you're creating content, if you can't create quality content, please don't make it. Really, practice it, show it to your friends, but don't throw every shit you make up on YouTube and drown out everything with bad content. And if you know there's good content, tell the world about it. Show it. Let everybody know. Let them see it. Nexy, I want you to throw in any other thing I may have forgot. I probably forgot a lot, to be honest. But
no, I mean, if we're going to be talking to the point about doing things better, I think you need to trust yourself. Don't throw everything up on YouTube, but if you like the content, like if you've made the content and you like it, that's what matters because you're a gamer, you're the demographic. Jerry's been, criticized for some of the stuff he was doing early on with VVV, but he said, no, I mean, I'm assuming this is what he did. No, this is what I believe in. I'm going to continue doing it the way I want to do it. And now, look, they're on their 100th episode of Losers Bracket. Their community is gigantic, and everywhere you turn is VVV. Same thing for me. If I put out the stuff that I like, I don't care that the guy next to me has an opinion on it. If I like it, it's going to be successful because I represent this huge conglomerate of people. So that's the advice I would give to people trying to make a difference. Especially the Halo guys. The Halo guys. Just because Jerry says he's not happy with you guys, do what makes you happy, right? As long as it's a positive thing. There's some people are fucked up in the world, but you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and I say this all, change my mind. Change my mind, right? The one thing people forget is, if you went out there and right now and you told, Lord Jareth hates Halo. Okay, maybe that's true. But look, if you look at the history of my rants, of what I've said, I was extremely critical of Major League Gaming when they weren't doing things I thought were right. Extremely critical. And once they started making changes, I supported them. In short, I changed my opinion based on them doing something different. Right? Same thing. Sir Scoots and I never saw eye to eye in the early days. Slasher and him dismissed me to be another Mob Vinny in the beginning. Over time, beginning to understand more about how we're different in the role we play, all of a sudden we get a little bit more understanding. We get to see each other more as peers and the roles we play in esports, that we're working toward the same goal. Things change. And so it is, to what Nexy said, if you're a Halo player, change my mind. Do positive things, right? This is everybody's, it is in your power. Nothing is static, nothing is permanent, right? And I always joke to Kurt, but when we started out, everybody said, I had people for years said you have to do Counter-Strike 1.6, you have to do Team Fortress 2. And every time they said to me I have to do something, I said no. No, I mean, what's his name? Wizard, I think his name was. He worked for ESCA. God, he would troll me every day about how stupid I was and how I didn't know shit about esports. Oh, you're an idiot. You'll see. You'll see. You're missing out on Team Fortress 2. You're missing out on 1.6. No one is going to take you credible unless you sponsor those things. Well, you know, things change. His opinion changed. You know, he said, you know, he remembered that and he came back to me and said, you know, you obviously were a little smarter than I gave you credit and probably even smarter than me. And I said, thank you. But things can change. It doesn't matter where you're at. It matters that you're working on going somewhere. Work on going somewhere. And that's something that's in your power as a community. And energizing each other and supporting each other in doing those things. Those things are important.
Most def. You know, just quick aside, real quick, Jerry was just mentioning, you know, some of the rants he had done in the past. Just so everyone knows, and this is a complete aside, just a quick swerve, we will be releasing a bonus episode this week for the celebration of the 100th episode milestone. We'll be counting down Jerry's top 5 rants that he has done in the past 2 years of the Losers Bracket. That should probably be posted by Thursday. So make sure to check that out. Let's swerve back on track.
No, and I want to add one more thing that I can't stress enough, because I said it and I don't want it to get lost. If the company that makes the game you love is not promoting esports, that is something you as a community have to change.
Yes.
If Infinity Ward will not make Call of Duty LAN ready, you need to pressure them to do it, right? That's critical. If Epic won't support the game with financial money when a league needs that money, or open doors to sponsors so the league gets the money it needs, you need to pressure them. At the end of the day, no game ends up on the MLG Pro Circuit without publisher support, developer support, right? You need, Blizzard has people at their company with esports in their job title.
Former MLG employee. Former MLG employee.
There you go.
Rob
former MLG employees. They get it. If your publisher doesn't get it, don't blame Major League Gaming or IPL or the World Cyber Games. People work at Major League Gaming. I want to remind you that some of you out there, no offense, you know, I'm going to kill 2 birds with one stone. I had somebody fucking apply to me and say they were a professional caster. I said, oh yeah, where do you live? Oh, with my parents. Stop the conversation right there. The people at Major League Gaming, right? Andreas, those people have families, they have lives, they have bills to pay. They are trying to do something important, but they have to eat, they have to live.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And this means that they need sponsors, advertisers. They need developer support. And if you're not pressuring your developer, there's only so much Major League Gaming can do. And so at the end of the day, look, if Halo gets dropped, right, if it gets removed, we have to admit it was in a horrible situation with Bungie departing, 343 picking it up in a transition. Microsoft certainly isn't the company that's going to support a game. What do you got left? And how would that be Major League Gaming's fault? So you guys have to be savvy when the publisher is not doing what they need to do. Like, look at what Blizzard does. Look at what Riot does. Look at what they do. And if your game's developer is not supporting it, then you have to give it pressure. And if there isn't enough people giving that developer pressure, again, you can't blame Major League Gaming. All of you have to get smarter about this and know whose buttons you need to push to start it rolling. And I really don't want that to get lost.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Speaking from someone who's in the situation with Valve.
No, you're right. I mean, I think Valve is difficult. I think Valve definitely could do more, and sometimes I wonder if they really get it at the end of the day. I mean, they get their business and they've got a lot of things going on, but you know.
Well, I think in the end, Valve's problem is that they see that Counter-Strike 1.6 did it on their own, and they think that CS:GO can be the same way, but they need to realize that it's not that same climate.
Yes, the world has changed.
Yeah. So, anyway, yep. I think that's about it. We got anything else?
Yeah.
Jason, Jerry, anything else?
No,
Ask,
I think this
buddy
is
Nexy?
fantastic.
You guys deserve a huge congratulations. 100th episode.
Thank you.
The episodes get better and better. I watch them all. Your guys' guests are incredible. I can't believe you had me on because you're laughing. Like, what are you thinking? Anyway, but I'm flattered and I really appreciate it. I wish you guys the best of luck, even though you don't need it because you've proved me wrong, even when I've doubted you in the past. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I want to give you a very special congratulations before we let you go, Nexy. Thank you for your work at Major League Gaming, and good luck. I can't wait to see great things come out of what you're doing over there with Astro. They are lucky to have you and your experience. Hopefully we'll enjoy some of that, and I just want to wish you the best of luck at what you're doing.
Thank you. Hey, little do you guys know, when I was out of work for 3 months figuring out what I want to do with my life on my travels, I called Jerry up, and he gave me advice, man. This dude's a great guy. So even when he's ranting about how much he hates you, he actually, he's there for you when you need him. So that's my little personal touch on that. There you go.
Booyah.
Indeed. And it's great to see you happy. And I think, to be honest, the West Coast's a little more laid back, and I think for you and your girlfriend, I think that's a good place to be, sir.
I'm never going back.
All right. Well, any final shout-outs before we let you go, sir?
No, dude. Just shout out to my girlfriend if she's watching. Adam Apicella in the chat room, who was a major influence on my entire life, who took me under his wing, gave me my first job at MLG. His lessons that he's taught me over the years, I still use to this day more than anyone else's. He's a crazy inspiration, and he pays attention. He fucking pays attention. If I goof up, he makes sure I know it. And having somebody like that in your life is going to make you a better person. So I appreciate everything that Clap's done.
I tell that to Paradise all the time.
I was just gonna say this is my exact same. This guy's my mentor right here. Like you don't even know.
It's really the hat.
Despite the Twitter war I had with Adam, he's a really, really influential guy, and he's really smart. So
he's brilliant, dude.
Appreciate him tuning in. So
all right, Nexy.
Get all emotional.
I know, right? Big hug, Nexy. We're gonna let you go, and we're gonna do this again. Okay.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so
good
much,
luck.
Nexy.
Take care. Never, ever would I have thought that bringing Andreas into the mix would make me feel. This show felt like for us. I feel guilty almost having had so much fun doing it. It's been 5 years, everyone. I'm looking forward to the next 5 years. I'm looking forward to see the people who have worked so hard, like Nexy, doing what they do. I also want to give a shout out. I'm always flattered and honored that Major League Gaming staff, pays attention and they care what we say, and they're there to make sure that we can be as accurate as we can be, and I really appreciate that. I really do. So I really think that there is. I'm just laughing right now because
that's not even right, man.
So
Don't
good.
laugh.
That's so good. Thank you, Adam.
That's a low blow.
CheckSix Gaming from MLG. So yeah, and take care, Nexy. But yeah, I really think it's just fantastic, and I see us. Our audience has grown. I can't believe that StarCraft is our largest division. I mean, it's amazing when you think of how many people play StarCraft, and so many have settled in VVV, and Gears of War is strong, and Call of Duty is growing now that we've publicly said we love it. A lot of players have come to us and said we want to be there, so we look forward to the announcements tomorrow. But Jason, I'm going to let you
Most definitely.
wrap us up here.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride these last 100 episodes. I know I just saw Perilous, one of the original co-hosts on the show, in the chat, saying, I can't believe, I remember back when this was still the original VVV Gaming podcast, before it was actually called the Losers Bracket, when it was just Ryan and I riding solo, duo. That was a horrible show, by the way, just so you know. It's come a long way. It's come a long way, and yet again, thank you to the viewers, because really, you guys are the ones that give us the credibility, because you listen in and we thank you so much for bringing us to where we are, and we will continue to do as much as we can to bring you the best show. We're like Winn-Dixie, getting better all the time. Whoa, that was really bad. But
You really, I really don't know what to tell you, but hey, that's all right.
problems, I know. You tell me all the time. A big thank you to everybody. Thank you to people that are in the chat tonight. Thank you, Adam, for telling me that my hair is immaculately parted tonight. You're impressive. Thank you for joining the chat. Additionally, he's killing me in the chat right now. Additionally, thank you to Biscuit, Cheese, everyone else that's in the chat. Perilous, I'm scrolling up, Spike, Arcane. Thank you guys. Really, you guys are amazing. Apex, all y'all. Additionally, let's do the regular outro. VV sponsor, SteelSeries, Gamer Grub, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, Power Glove for giving us the music that we use every week. You guys are all amazing. We really do appreciate it. The entire esports community, your feedback and support, it's what keeps us going. So if you do have feedback for us, it's critical. Give it to us. We would love it so we can improve with it. You can get to us in so many ways. All of us have our Twitter handles right here, so you can, follow us, shoot us back some feedback. We'd greatly, greatly love to talk with you about the show. You can email us. My email address personally is paradise@vvv-gaming.com. The Losers Brackets is thelosersbracket@vvv-gaming.com. You can find us over on our Podbean to listen to the audio show. It's vvvgaming.podbean.com. You can also find all of our video archives on YouTube. Our account there is the VVV Gaming. Make sure to like the video, give us a thumbs up. Yeah, and like I said just a little bit earlier, make sure to stay tuned later in the week for our 100th episode bonus content that I had thrown together of the top 5 Lord Jareth rants of the past 100 episodes. Yeah, some of the content has, the opinions have changed a little bit, but it's still worth going back for that trip down nostalgia lane because, man, I know I listened to the rants while I was editing the content together, and a lot of it still rings true, especially his one about feedback. You'll hear it. Just make sure to tune in later in the week. Let me throw the mic on over to Kurt so that he can give his shout-outs, and then we'll wrap up with Jerry.
That's the most talking I think we've let you do.
You never let me talk. Every time...
Me? Hold on.
on.
Can you at least have some shared blame
No,
here?
it's you. Every time I have a point to make, I'll type in the chat, I'll be like, hey guys, I've got a point to make. And then one of them will be like, nope, we're going to keep talking. And,
Okay, so one of them. Okay. So
okay, there.
Right. So
I spread the
Thank you.
blame a little bit between both of you, okay? How about that?
I will say this: this is the most Jason has talked on any show.
I'm telling you.
I think you should talk more.
I think it's because Asylum's gone. I think is what
You
it
know,
is. Like,
he did kind of sap the energy out of me, just saying. Boo Asylum.
he can
Oh,
do
did I
that
say
for
that?
people, man. But anyway, my normal shout-outs, shout-outs to me at KeyHunt on Twitter. You can follow me there.
Shout-outs to himself
At
first,
CheckSix
really?
Gaming, checks number 6 Gaming. Please follow us over there. We'll hopefully be having some more updates from Sleep, like I was telling you guys about earlier in the show. I'm not going to rant on the MLG Winter Online qualifier being invite only because Adam's in the chat, and he's already threatening to ban me, so...
Trollolol.
But no, I really appreciate Adam showing up. That's pretty amazing. Hopefully, he has some time to do it more, more often. We talked about casters earlier, and I really want to give a big shout out to Zyori in the chat. Andrew, we had him on the show a few weeks back.
Awesome dude.
He does some amazing stuff now, guys. He switched over from StarCraft to Han, and maybe, potentially maybe Dota 2 later on. But he does some absolutely amazing stuff at It's Gosu. I think his channel is twitch.tv/Zyori
TV, I believe?
Yeah, Zyori. I think that's right. I hope that's right. If not, he's going to be upset. But I think that's right. So, yeah, that's right.
It's okay. He just misspelled your name in the chat anyways.
I'm upset. But anyway, yeah. So, shout outs to him. And appreciate you guys letting me be a part of this. It's been fun, and hope to have 100 more.
Indeed. Jerry, it's all yours, man.
Wow. I want to give an odd shout-out tonight. I think tonight I'm going to give a shout-out to DJ Wheat for paving the path that, when we started, it was Live on 3 that we looked at, and, we had to ask the question, how are we different from them? You don't want to imitate anyone, and there are things that Live on 3 does that's amazing, and if you guys don't listen to Live on 3, you should. I think that they do some great work in covering the major esports news in a really important way. So, I mean, I think, there's a lot of people who have helped and influenced what we've done over the last 100 episodes. Most importantly, I'll be honest, I never planned to be on this show for 100 episodes. My goal was to get it set up and get it pushed and then sort of turn it over to other people. And over a period of time, I've grown to love doing this. And a lot of people have given me positive feedback that they said they've learned something or they heard it on the Losers Bracket or as you mentioned. And the one thing I do think that we're doing that's really important and I never want to lose is that people like Sundance from Major League Gaming and Adam, David Ting from IPL, Rob from Devastation, and now also from IPL, the people who have to make the tough decisions and manage the budgets come here to help educate the community and give you guys an inside look into how the business and the administrative and the reality of what we have to do to have esports, how it works. And I think they're really transparent and they're doing a phenomenal good work. If you do anything tonight, if you do something besides saying that we did a great show, you've got to thank those people. Like Nexy said,
yes,
it goes a long way. Before you rant at Sundance, and I know it may look like I'm just really favoring MLG, but I'm not. Before you complain about IPL or Devastation, thank them. It really is not being done for the money. It's all peanuts right now. And as we move forward, everybody in their own way is contributing, so thank them. That's the crew on Live on 3, Slasher, Sir Scoots, DJ Wheat, Marcus. The leagues, they're trying. Obviously, we may disagree with how they do business or certain aspects of their business, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't say it's all bad or all good. Focus on the few things that can be improved and be constructive with your feedback. If you do that, they will listen. That's all I got. Thank you all so much, and I also look forward to the next 100.
Most definitely. Wow.
I have Jason, if you don't mind, I have one last shout out. I'm sorry I missed it earlier, but I want to give an unlikely shout out, and that's actually to Evil Genius's StarCraft team, because I saw that you guys have Wednesday night StarCraft with them coming up.
Yeah, I got to say that Cody, the manager over there, we found out that I really, really didn't know this. So everybody who doesn't know, if you guys could support Wednesday Night StarCraft tomorrow, that would really be fantastic. We're going to play against Evil Geniuses. We're going up against DeMuslim, Machine, and Control. So we're going up against EG. And a lot of teams thought that they had to pay $100 to participate in our Wednesday Night StarCraft. This Wednesday Night StarCraft is completely VV Gaming's money. We invite teams to come play our team. The winner takes all, $100, and it's weekly every Wednesday. It's something that we do to give back to the StarCraft community. It's our way to thank all of our members. It's our fans and our community members' way to see our players play. To our community, Titan and Ruff, these are real personalities. Murder's back now. We've got people that, people are familiar with their play style. They know Hasu, they know these players. And so Wednesday Night StarCraft is, so everybody knows, somebody else said, we just throw $100 away. Not at all. This is our players' opportunity to showcase their skills to us so we can monitor their progress, play other good teams and players, and give us a chance to see how other players are developing their strats and hopefully give entertaining matches. And on top of that, if you have not picked up and looked at one of our episodes, Jason, we're going to have a top 10 Wednesday Night StarCraft moments. Indeed. As we're getting ready now. And I'm telling you guys, our casters, Crota and Matron, my God, we started as complete, total, formal business strangers. Cold as ice. This is how we're producing a show. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm pretty sure they've fallen in love with some of our players. and they are great casters. They feel they get it right. They feel like, the Chicago Cubs, as an example, always had Harry Carey. You live in the city of Chicago. There are Chicago sports announcers you know. Crota and Matron and Starcraft are VVV's own home sports announcers. If you can support us tomorrow for Wednesday Night Starcraft, I would really appreciate that. If you're a Starcraft fan, take a look at it. And Crota and Matron do so many things right, and they do a thankless job, and I think they also deserve a lot of credit. So thank you, Kurt, for bringing that up, because we really look forward and excited, and really thanks that EG stepped up, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, I just appreciate them doing some of those quote-unquote grassroots events that you don't normally see them doing. And they don't realize how much that helps, other organizations and other teams, and for that matter, other players, just random players. So I really appreciate them doing it. And I have no affiliation with you guys. I still think it's absolutely amazing.
All right, everyone. I think this about wraps up the 100th episode of the Losers Bracket podcast. Yet again, thank you so much for taking some time out on your Tuesday night and joining us. I gotta be honest, I'm almost a little sad it's the end of this episode. This episode's been a lot of fun. And I can't wait for the next one, because, hey, I think it's only going to get better from here. If you do want to see us bring on a specific guest, if you'd like us to see us have a certain discussion, email me, tweet me, let me know. I try to bring the content that you guys want to see. Until next week, enjoy, have some fun playing some games. Make sure tune in tomorrow night, Wednesday Night Starcraft. Stay tuned for Thursday when we're going to post that bonus episode with Jerry's Top 5 Rants. And have a good week. We'll see you guys back here next week for episode 101. Enjoy. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye.